Who is going to be the Richmond captain for 2025? That is the question I'm asking all the Tiger fans tonight. Now, I do want to state straight off the top that I'm definitely a back the club on this front. So if the club and the players vote for a certain player, I'm more than happy to support that, and I won't begrudge whatever their decision is. This is purely just a hypothetical to see what everyone thinks we're at with our leadership base and where they would like to see the club go. Just an interesting exercise. Obviously, at the moment, Toby Nankervis is our current captain, who's been so since 2022, 30 years old. And I must admit, when he first took on the job as a co-captain with Dylan Grimes, I was pretty pumped for it. But as the year got on, I kind of felt like he was still very undisciplined, and I just didn't feel like that his play style was fitting the mold of captaincy, if that makes sense. I think last year, though, he did take some really good steps forward in terms of his mean streak. Like, he was able to keep himself in check a lot. And there's absolutely zero question that he leads from the front on the field. He's a physical presence. It's an absolute animal around the ground. And look, he's not going to be the face of the club or the big media speaker, but that truthfully doesn't matter to me, because it's just a media commentary. Any of the players can do that. So Nank, yeah, look, I think he's taken some good steps forward. There are some other players that we'll speak about now that their names have been mentioned, it must be said. So Tom Lynch, former Gold Coast captain, came across in 2019, 7th year at the club, 32 years old. The big question mark here, though, is, of course, the injury perspective. In the last 2 years, he's played about 8 games, which doesn't really cut it if you're the captain. And I know there's been some circumstances maybe a little bit out of his control as to why that's happened, that we've now hopefully rectified. And look, he was part of the leadership group in 2024 with Jaden Short and Liam Baker. And I am absolutely all for Tom Lynch being in the leadership group again, if the club think that's where he needs to be, because to have one of those older heads, guiding these young kids is going to be super critical. Nathan Broad played with us since 2016, 31 years old, knocked back an offer from North Melbourne this year in their quest to get some leadership and some experience around their younger kids as well. And it's no secret that Broady has been a big driver in resetting the culture at the footy club for 2025 and beyond. You've seen a lot of interviews, the youngsters are sort of saying they're looking up to Broad, or he's taken them under their wing. He's very prominent on the track as well. So, he's putting his best foot forward, and he's wanting to do the right thing for the club and get it into a good space before he finishes up. So he wouldn't look out of place with the C next to his name, that's for sure. Broady is one of the first picked every week. Nick Vlosten is another name that's often been linked to captaincy, drafted by us in 2013. A bit of an unsung hero in defence. He gives his all week in, week out. He's got a ridiculous amount of courage. And I think he's severely underrated by people outside of Richmond, to be honest. 30 years of age. The only thing is, and someone in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just can't help but feel that there's been a point in time where he has actually said he doesn't want the captaincy in some interview somewhere along the line. So, correct me if I'm wrong, I just feel like that I've heard that somewhere before. But if he was open to it and Nank didn't want it, he would definitely not look out of place again with the captaincy next to his name, because I think when you're on the field, he is definitely someone that is inspiring with the things that he does, and that can sort of help drag the players up with him. The final one, who's probably come into calculations a lot more this year, is Tim Taranto. He came across to us in 2023, so this would be his, third season, I think, with us. 26 years old. It was pretty well reported that he was approaching a lot of the players who were considering leaving in the off-season to try and convince him to stay. Look, obviously it didn't work, but you can just see how driven and determined he is to get this group going forward in the right direction. And I think his actions on the field speak pretty true as well. So some good names in that list. Personally, if I was... Depends on the direction you want to go. If Nank didn't want the captaincy anymore, or we wanted to pick someone else other than Nank as a club, hypothetically, of course, I think we would probably almost have to go Tim Taranto. And I say that purely because of the age. Look, the other guys, so we've got Toby Nankervis, who's currently 30, Lynch is 32, Nathan Broad 31, and Nick Loston 30. They've all probably got 1 to 3 years left in them, you would think, just based on the average age of football players. Timmy Taranto at 26 has still got, maybe 6-7 years left in the game, and he could carry that captaincy mantle for that duration while the next young crop are coming through. And it could be someone like a Smiley, a Lawler, Trainer, one of the new draftees we get later on. Who knows? A lot of them are showing some good leadership traits, and we do tend to draft players with that kind of skill set as well. So I just think that Tim Taranto at 26 is a really nice conduit age between the youngsters being able to approach him, I suppose, in a different way, and then he's obviously got the existing relationship with the older players as well. But like I said, I'm keen to hear what everyone thinks in the comments below. If you had to pick a captain tomorrow, who would you be picking to captain the Richmond Football Club from 2025? Like I said, all hypothetical, of course. Again, I want to clearly state that whatever the club decide, I'll be all on board with an 100% backing them to the hill. It's just a really interesting exercise because we have lost a substantial amount of experience in the last couple of years. And we've got to plan forward. We've got to plan for the future. And it's just an interesting discussion point. So I'm keen to hear what you guys all think in the comments below. Let me know.